branch management for 2.2, which is not yet released, but soon. So, yes, thank you for coming to yapcasia 2008, and then there we go. So, my name is CL, or this in kanji, or just call me CL. We're for Best Practical with Jesse. We make RT and SVK, among other things. Right, so I'm going to talk about SVK today, the new features, most importantly, in 2.2, branch management. And I'm going to briefly talk about a suggested best practice for managing a project and then creating feature-based development cycles using the new feature, which is like really, really easy. So, development process and deployment process. Okay, and the process is actually being used in different places, and so you'll see the suggested one. And it's really coming soon. So first we're going to fast recap on version control's boring history, which some of you might know this part of the talk. So in 1980s, the version control system, like for example, what you do with backup is just CP, right? Who uses this version control? Well, I do sometimes. And if you want to add a new feature, like you don't want to ruin your stable code, so you basically just create a branch with CP as well, right? How hard could it be? And to revert a file, because you screw up something and then you want to copy things back from a stable branch, you just copy that file, right, from a backup. And if you want to redo everything, basically you just kill everything, right? And there can be mistakes that you kill like the whole top level directory and then all the codes are gone. Yay. So the problem is kind of solved in 1982 by a system called RCS, which gives you a command line tool, a set of command line tools to checking a file. So you can like have the file being recorded in this state, and then the whole database is actually recorded in a common V file, and you can check out arbitrary revisions on that. And you can see the log for your change history of the file. This is usually used for the config file under etc. by lots of system administrators. And you can also invoke very obscure command to perform a merge to the file, which I can never remember. This is probably meaning try to merge the change between 2.8 and 3.4 with my local change on file to a file called merged. Is someone using this? Okay, sometimes maybe. Okay, but what about collaborating? Because you can see this is like just a tool for a single file. So if you want to collaborate yet, or right, 1992, there's a system called CVS being invented to solve this problem for collaborating on projects and over network. It caused a lot of hate software. It's from later gen study. I don't know if it existed or not, but you can like put arbitrary things on the wall and other places. Yes. Okay. So if you ever use CVS, directory is a disaster. You can't really manage it. And if you want to remove a directory, it's some kind of magic flag. When the directory is empty, then magically it doesn't get checked out. Something really obscure. Renames? Huh. Okay, you have to log into the repository and then move a file, which breaks everything if you check out like last month's version, because it was supposed to be in the old name that time, right? So your make file will be like targeting the wrong thing. So, and the commit is not atomic. So if you commit 3 files, it might break in between. So the 3 files like supposed to be one change set, and then if your network died or server died, like in the second file being committed, and right, you have an inconsistent revision there. So this revision is not buildable or not releasable. Hate, lots of hate. And always you need network, even if you just want to see the diff. And you hate it, it hates you back. Has anyone read the CVS source code here? Or wrote CVS source code? Well. So this is actually in the CVS code. There's a label called I hate you, which prints out I hate you. Okay, so this is so CVS is modified from RCS, and then so CVS adds the network access layer on top of that. So this is the network authentication layer of CVS, right? So the authentication protocol is love and hate. So if you authenticate it, and it prints "I love you." If you fail, say "I hate you." It's really weird. Anyway, to be fair, it's actually served its time. Lots of open source projects use that for collaboration, and then I think it's quite an important piece of software, like helping all the free and open source project software to be able to collaborate and to be in the state of what they are today. So, in 2002, Subversion, there's a new version control system. Yada! Yes. So Subversion can fix most of the problems of CVS. You can manage directory with it. You can manage renames with that. And the commit is atomic now. It doesn't break in between. And it's got very cheap branching and tagging. So basically, in CVS, the branching and tagging time is linear to the number of files or directories in your repository. So I used to work in a place where making a release, you have to tell everyone not to commit today because we're tagging, and it costs 1 day. Yes, like a 4 gigabyte repository or something. Right, so you lose the development day because everyone cannot commit. We have to tag. Okay, and Subversion also supports offline diff. So if you check out a file, check out a repository, check out a tree, then you can do diff when you're offline. It doesn't need to reconnect to the server to see the diff that you modified. And most importantly, it's got a very active community, and then it's quite nice a community. So people are nice to answer questions and then taking suggestions and things like that. So when there's a version, but there's something more I want to do to be able to commit offline and things like that. So I wrote SVK starting from 2003. So it offers offline commits that you can mirror a repository and then create a local branch and commit while you're traveling on the train, on the airplane, and then push your changes back and pull new changes from other people from time to time, which is kind of useful if you travel a lot and or spend time commuting and things. And so most important, it supports panless branching. So it's no longer like a lot of typing or a lot of weird obscure command to do a branch. And then it does, most importantly, more than Subversion, it does smart merging. You just specify 2 branches, and then it knows where the change is like different from. So it knows where you should be applying the changes from and to. You'll see the example soon. And there's one thing I like is like there's no .svn or CVS directory in every directory, so it plays nicely if you use the shell commands such as find or grep-r, which recurs into .svn directory or CVS directory, which is kind of annoying because the Subversion checkout, as I mentioned earlier, you can do diff without being on the internet. That's because it stores a pristine copy of your checkout file in the .svn directory. So what happens when you do grep-r, which is you're looking for something, and then if the something is somewhere in the file, it's probably also in the pristine file. So you end up with like weird shell output, and then you have to grep through it. So it's kind of annoying. So the branching model in Subversion, branch, it's messy always, right? It's like that. So basically, you use a copy command to copy a directory to another one. So for example, here, we copy the trunk to a branch called full refactor in order to do some full refactoring. Okay. So now this is how you create branch. But to merge branches in Subversion, you have to check out the full refactor branch and then use more obscure commands like svm merge from this revision to that revision of this branch to the current directory. Okay? And then you tested the merge result, even if it's just like a document change or something. Basically, you have to do it on the working copy. You have to check out it and do the merge, and then commit the merge. So this is the normal workflow if you use Subversion to do branching and merging. Okay, so I'm going to come back to this diagram a little bit. So this is a workflow for feature-based development. So you always create a branch for any feature or any bug that you're trying to fix, right? And then from time to time, when you need to make a release, you create an RC branch from the current trunk, okay? And then you merge all the changes that, all the branches that's ready to be released into RC, which there can be conflicts or some test changes or basically incompatibility between different branches to be merged. Then you resolve it on the RC, and you perform QA and staging and whatever that people don't do, or and then before the release. And then you do the actual release from RC, which merges things to trunk. Okay, so so this ensures the trunk always works and then it's releasable. So to do similar things in SVK for what you saw in the previous slides for subversion branching, you do a copy of trunk to full refactor, which is pretty much the same. But instead of checking out and do a merge command to the checkout and then commit, you can do a S-merge, which means smart merge, between trunk and full refactor branches. So this merges all the changes on the trunk since we branch full refactor. So bringing all the changes up to date to full refactor branch with one command. And it doesn't need to be in a checkout copy. So, but it can be. So you have the choice to see, right, if you want to just merge into the repository or merge to the checkout and then make sure everything works and then commit, either way. But this is still a bit annoying for, like, it's like a lot of duplicated things for typing. So we have a new command called branch. So the first useful things is br list. So the branch command, or br in abbreviation, is it figures out your repository layout, and then like it's got a concept for the project. The project consists of trunk and different branches and maybe tags, right? So when you do this br list in a checkout copy of your trunk or somewhere, it figures out what projects you're in and then list all the branches that is in this project. And when you want to create a branch, then it's a lot easier now because you can just say branch create full refactor. And by default, it creates from trunk, but you can also specify from another branch. And when you want to do the merge, it's similar. You say branch br merge from trunk to full refactor, which is similar to the S command that you saw earlier, but with less typing. So you might think, why, this is just synthetic sugar, right? But it's a little bit more. So you can do two things at one go, which makes things easier. For example, create branch and switch over, which is very common operation. And then you have to do svn cp, svn sw, the last very long URL you just typed, which is annoying. So you can do this with svk branch create this thing and then switch over. And you can merge two different branches at one go to another branch. Okay, and you can do a sanity check with a -c argument to do the check if full refactor and bar fix merges cleanly onto trunk. Okay, so this is quite useful. And actually, you can do more in one command. As I mentioned earlier, in the diagram you saw for the feature-based development, you can merge multiple branches at one go into another branch, for example, RC here. So this particular workflow is like when you have a branch, whether it's refactoring, feature branch, or bug fix, you move the branch to release ready, just like marking as done. Okay, there's a you can create a directory, subdirectory inside the branches directory called release ready. So what you do is br move the things into release ready, and multiple things. And then you can create another branch called RC, which is from the current trunk. And then you say merge everything under release ready to RC. Okay, so this is quite handy when your development process is it's like you have multiple developers working on individual things, and then you have a release manager that just basically do the release from time to time, and then so you have a set of fixed workflow for doing all this. Any questions? Okay. So finally, when you have this testing and things done, and you can do just one single merge with RC to trunk, then it merges the things that you merged and tested on RC into trunk. So to do deployment, you basically just check out trunk, because trunk is supposed to always work, and then just do an update. Then you deploy it. And we also need to remove the branches that's already merged or done. So you can do a SVK branch, remove all these things. Or if you want to archive them, I mean, it's in the repository, it's archived, but you can also move it into another directory called merged or old branches or anything. So it's quite flexible to accommodate whatever workflow you want. So to recap about the feature branching model I was just talking about, so most importantly, trunk always works. So you have a trunk, and you merge things from feature branches to RC, have them tested in the, and then you merge the trunk. So nothing gets to commit to the trunk, and then it's always releasable. So bug fixing features on their own branch, so you don't create a branch and then do 2 changes on one branch, because they might because later you might find one of the branches actually broken. One of the things you try to fix is actually broken. So with this process, if you find something wrong in the QA process on the RC, what you can do is you restart the release process by removing the branch that is causing problem, but was moved into release ready. So you move it back to not ready. And then you restart the release process by killing the RC and then create it again. And then remerge everything from release ready into RC and then do the QA again. So you have a very fixed process for doing things if you do this practice. So, so when you have like naive developers, they can focus on just do one thing, just commit to one branch when they're trying to fix a particular bug. And they don't have to worry about version control and switch over and about releasing, about QA. Well, they do, but it's a different story. They'll care about it later, but they can focus on development rather than tools. So the release manager does the merge and then tell people to perform QA and decide if it's mergeable and it's releasable from RC to trunk. So one interesting thing I want to mention about in SVK is that what happens if you have conflicts in when you merge between branches. So branches are nightmare. Like these. Has anyone seen this? Hate. So even white space changes, right? So it's kind of annoying, but with SVK, it's kind of a lot easier to deal with. It's got an interactive conflict resolution. So when there's a conflict during a merge, you will see this prompt. You can see the diff for their changes or your changes or all the changes or the traditional conflict marker you just saw and hate. And so here you can resolve the conflict in line by editing it or launch merge tools. SPK supports a lot of merge tool by default, so you just press N and then it figures out what you have installed, such as file merge app on Mac or WinDiff or things like that. So hopefully when we get through like not hating version control system, we can write better software and then love software. So SVK is in this URL, bestpractical.com/SVK. And the mailing list is here. And then IRC channel is on Freenode upon SVK. So any questions? Yes.
Sure. 日本語でいいですか。サブバージョン1.5、マージトラッキングアトリビュート、に、連携することとかっていうのは考えてらっしゃいますか？
I think you're making SVK so it works with SVM 1.5. Is that your question? Hi. Okay.
So the question is that this version 1.5 supports merge attributes and things. It's Am I playing?
Yeah, new features added to SVM.
Yeah. So the short answer is yes. So Subversion 1.5 adds additional merge attributes for all the nodes that you can mark that it has been merged from where and different repositories. So actually, we were kind of involved when they're sketching the metadata. So they were thinking about just having merge properties for local repositories, but we say no, you have to like include a repository UID, so you can like incorporate changes saying, right, this is merged from another repository over here. So I think it's quite flexible, and then we'll certainly use it to because they have some optimization in indexing and searching. So yeah, we'll do that.
短い答えは、まあ、イエスということで、はい。長い答えはちょっと訳すのはThe problem is I don't know that SVN that far, so
Right.
そうちょっと英語はついていけたけど SVN の知識に関してついていけませんでした。ということで、ショートアンサーでイエスということで勘弁してください。
Right.
はい。質問っていうよりサジェスチョンなんですけど、SVK はCVS ディレクトリとか .svn とか作らないですよね。で、あれが非常にそのユニックスのスラエトセの管理に向いてるなと私常々感じていて、こういう使い方を皆さんするともっと幸せになれるんじゃないでしょうかと。特にそのスラエトセをCVS とかだと、インポートしてからチェックアウトしたものの CVS ディレクトリをスラエトセに持っていくとかしないと、エトセを CVS で管理するのはできなかったんですけど、SVK だったら、マイナス T かなんかで、一発でエトセを SVK で管理できるので、こういう使い方みんな、もうすでにみんな知ってるんですかね。
His was rather a suggestion than a question that since SVN doesn't make meta files, like CVS and .svn, is that good to go if you edit, files like whatever under /etc, like Unix configuration files, not just projects? Yeah, that's what he said. これでいいの? Right. Right, let SVK handle your server, not just Wilson projects and stuff,
yes.
but these fundamental configuration files.
If you go online and look for the SVK talk maybe 2 years ago, there's actually a section for how to manage etc properly with SVK with any version control system. There are some really weird caveats, like, for example, you don't want to version like your password files or anything, right? But when it's there, and then how do you remove it?
Right.
I mean, none of the version control system, well, maybe they do now, supports like easy way to say, right, schedule this for removal, but don't delete my checkout copy, because you don't really want to remove the file on your checkout. But yeah.
Right. というわけで、実際にそういうプレゼンを2年ほど前にしたそうです。なるほど。失礼。Okay.
Okay. Oh. Yes, quick question, please.
One of the features I like in SVK is import external repository like the Subversion for CVS. And the last time I checked, CVS support is broken in SVK.
CVS support is broken, yes.
This is not a question by asking.
Yes, we have a plan.
CVS もサポートしてたって。
So the CVS support is kind of broken in 2.0 because it was depending on the external library called VCP, and we are replacing with other thing called Taylor, and well, hopefully someone will help. And
ごめんなさい、2.0 で壊れてますけれども、はい。
Yes.
But how many of you are still using CVS? See?
But I'm speaking for 20,000 people.
So thank you, and then please enjoy the next talk, and then I'll be hanging around the conference. So see you.